So again, congrats on the film. It is frightening. Before coming to speak with you, my whole fun idea was like, okay, the Invisible Man, clearly a terrible boyfriend. What other monsters would be like a good boyfriend? So that's what I thought. Then I saw the movie. That is I can't think of anything fun.
You're like, it's not funny anymore.
It's not funny anymore. What you suffer in this film, physically, mentally, emotionally, it is horrifying. Was there much fun to be had on set? Like, did you get to take joy in any of the moments between the torment?
Yeah, I mean, we did. You've talked to Lee or Ollie yet? I mean,
not yet. No.
They're you'll see. They're really fun people, unless they just are totally boring for some reason. But they usually are very fun people, very funny people. We joke around a lot. Like, we had to all be kind of like separated at a certain point because we would just do nothing but kind of joke around. It was fun. You know, you're doing something that's essentially extremely imaginative, that is in a space that is really fun to play with the VFX, with the stunt doubles, with all of the stuff that we were doing. So it was fun. It's also hard not to laugh when you see like a man in a green suit or like someone is pulling something, a door closed with like a wire, you know, and then he's like creeping out the door, like, and you see it, like it was fun.
Okay, that's a relief to me. I can sleep at night. Yes. I appreciate you clarifying that.
Yes, we're all right.
Now, there's not a lot of Invisible Man movies as compared to other monsters or whatever, but every Invisible Man movie ends up being they embrace the worst parts of themselves. I can think of one Invisible Woman movie, and she's like the Fantastic Four, and she's a hero.
Right.
So I can't help but notice that the female invisible character uses those abilities for good, and then the male characters always use them for bad, even though men can pretty much get away with anything they want all the time without invisibility.
Interesting.
I was just curious what you thought about that, or what it is about that power that you think festers those worst tendencies.
Yeah, for some reason that just doesn't, there's not a lot of things that occur to me that you would do that would be good if you're invisible. It just lends itself to sketchy behavior. There's just nothing, there's very few things that you can do. And everything ends up being sort of illegal in some way. And like, there's not a lot of, if you're invisible, because when you want to do something good, you kind of want people to see it, and you kind of want it to be visible. So just the mere power of invisibility. I'm not as familiar with Fantastic Four, but she's a superhero and she's invisible.
She's very good, yeah.
So that's good.
That's great.
Like in a Batman kind of way, or like she does good deeds while being invisible?
Exactly, yeah. Okay. She uses those abilities for good. So she's great.
Good.
She's very heroic.
That's good.
And of course, we've got a few more seasons ahead of Handmaid's Tale that everyone's looking forward to seeing you tormented again.
Thank you.
Do you see an endless amount of Journeys seasons as June? Like, can you see yourself suffering more abuse as this character for much longer, or is there an end in sight?
I mean, it's not up to me, but I think that we all agree that this is the story of one woman, and it's not the story of Gilead. And we're tracking her story, and we're taking care of her story, and it will be up at some point. So I think that we kind of keep that as our guideline. When we feel like that story has been told, then it will be over.
So first of all, I'm pretty disappointed because I wanted to see this movie to see you in it, and I feel like I barely saw you in it.
I know.
What's up with that?
It's kind of the keys in the title, isn't it?
Okay, I guess that makes a lot more sense. What was the shooting dynamic like? Because I assume you weren't just calling on a cell phone or anything like that.
I was very much involved. We're trying to kind of keep how we did it down. We're trying to kind of keep as much as that secret as possible, so an audience don't spend their time thinking about how we did it. It was such an amazing experience, and it's kind of an actor's dream that you're in a movie, you're the title character, and everyone talks about you the whole time, and you don't actually have to do much, and then they pay you. It's crazy. So I feel very lucky. So something like, Haunting of Hill House, you were such a vulnerable character in that, and now in this movie, you aren't seen all that much. Was that freeing, or was that challenging, or was it, like you said, exciting to be the main character and not be seen much? No, I think they're two very, very different projects and two very different experiences. I think that Hill House was such an incredible experience, and then like a personal kind of experience for me. It felt very important. I think that the fact that Lee has written a movie that's about domestic abuse and about someone escaping that and about gaslighting, I just thought was really important. And so I just wanted to be a part of it in whatever capacity. If I was going to be seen or not, it didn't matter to me, because it felt like he'd written something that was very confronting, and something that's very real that a lot of people experience. So I just wanted to be a part of it.
And was it difficult to maintain that dynamic with Elisabeth, because obviously your character is very antagonizing towards her, once the camera stopped rolling, or was it, it wasn't until the shoot was over that you got to be able to hug each other?
No, we absolutely hate each other. No, she is remarkable to work with. She is so funny. And I genuinely don't think, and I feel like actors say this, and it's hard to express, but I really mean this. We had so much fun on that shoot, and she's scarily talented, because she can be laughing her head off, like crying with laughter, and then they'll call action, and she goes to these dark places. It's quite phenomenal. So we felt. We had spent our time building the characters and building the dynamics and building the relationship. The when we got to set, all we had to do was do it.
And this was, of course, a reinvention of the concept of the Invisible Man. And of course, we're all excited for The Haunting of Bly Manor. I was curious if there's much reinvention we can expect with that, or is it the new storyline will automatically make it, so much more exciting than what we previously saw?
Yeah, it's, I feel like there's a sniper from Netflix. I have to be so careful about what I say. It's truly kind of phenomenal what Mike's done with the second season. And it's weird, because I think the first one we were so, not shocked, but it was quite overwhelming how well it was received and how sort of globally, how massive it became. And so how do you kind of approach the second season and make it just as good, if not better? And Mike's kind of done it. So I go back up in about 20 minutes back up to Vancouver to continue, and we wrap, I think, next week. So it'll be out end of the year. So let us know what you think. I really hope people like it.
So congrats on the film. It was frightening. Of course, with the Invisible Man name, there's a long history to it, and you reinvented that. And was there any sort of trepidation on your part when you were writing, like, I don't want to call this Invisible Man because I don't want people to have expectations, or did that not hinder you at all?
It actually didn't hinder me. My one thought was, people won't be mad at me if they're terrified. Like, all you have to do is scare people and they'll quickly forgive you. But that's a big hurdle to jump. So I wasn't sure that I could scare them, but I knew if I did, I'd be okay. So hopefully I did.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be hearing about it on social media.
Yeah, give it a few weeks and you'll hear about it. I was shocked at how effectively and how effortless this movie felt to come together. Like the idea of it, the execution, how nobody has done this before. When you were writing the film, did it come to you that easily, or was it a difficult process?
I mean, it wasn't that difficult. Every script is difficult, but the actual idea, the direction I wanted to take it in, that was very early. I mean, this was an idea that was suggested to me. This wasn't something I was standing by ready to make. I wasn't like, I'm burning to make an Invisible Man movie. Somebody suggested the title to me, and basically just that suggestion triggered all these thoughts of how I could do the film. And that initial thought of the direction I would go in stayed through all the drafts, and the finished movie you see kind of really reflects that, which, as you know, that's rare for a movie for the idea to survive all those different iterations.
And I read that you, when developing the film, you came up with a list of bands for like band T-shirts for the characters to wear to kind of give them a better identity. I was kind of curious what those bands were that kind of described those characters.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of what I was doing. I mean, I do all sorts of things on the set. I'll make actors keep a diary, anything to get them in the head of the character. With Storm Reed's character, she plays Sydney. I made her buy a jacket and like basically customize it completely so that it was her jacket because she's this aspiring fashion person. I can't particularly remember the band shirts, but I do remember giving people various homework, which is always fun.
Right. And of course, this is a total reimagining of this concept. And I know I'm looking forward to your involvement with Escape from New York. And I was curious, is that going to be another kind of reinvention of something that we know, but in a new direction? Or?
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I've been so busy working on this film, I haven't had time to circle back around on that project. Sometimes these press releases, they go out before you're ready. You're like, don't tell the world. So I don't actually know. I really don't. That is an iconic character, and I think Snake Plissken is a part of people's childhood and their adolescence. It's near and dear to them. So I would tread very carefully with that. I feel like a property like that doesn't have the same freedom that maybe something like The Invisible Man does. He has more elasticity as a character because so many people have had their fingerprints on that. There's been TV shows and comic books. So you feel like whereas with Escape from New York, we're talking about one definitive movie here, and you don't want to mess with it. So we'll see what happens.
Just write the character as Wyatt Russell, and I think the battle is...
I know. I mean, that seems like the obvious thing to win the fans over, right?
So congrats on the film. It's horrifying, and I think part of what I loved so much is not only your on-screen terrifying performance, but also the dynamic that you had with your co-stars. It was very genuine. I was curious, in those scenes of terror, because there are times that you have to be afraid of maybe your co-stars and unseen forces. Right. What was more difficult for you? Is it harder to see your co-star who you work with and be frightened of them, or just your imagination?
I think my imagination is scarier. I think imagining the unimaginable is very scary, and really the fear of the unknown is scary as well. So I think that's the most frightening thing for me, and I think for audience members, because you just don't know what's coming and you don't know where this guy is.
So in those moments where you are picturing something invisible, were you on set picturing an invisible guy, or in your head was it like, an 8-foot-tall monster was over in the corner and that's why you were so freaked out?
I think it was a little bit of both, but really just on set imagining somebody invisible torturing you. I think that will get you a little bit emotional. If it doesn't, then you're one brave person. But with my fight sequence, I didn't really have anything to work off of. It was me, the camera, and me fighting with thin air. But I think it really challenged me and sharpened my skill. So I'm appreciative for that experience. And it was a lot of fun.
You spoke about how excited you were for this project because it spoke to you personally. I was curious what kind of your professional takeaways were from your collaborators, or even just the narrative, what the personal takeaways were from the story itself.
Yes, I mean, the story is something that has been loved for so many years, and people continue to rave about it. And I don't think we try to change it in any way, but just reimagine it with a woman at the center who was struggling. And that really spoke to me because, yes, it is a genre piece, but it is something that will evoke a conversation and really relate to people. And that's what I tried to be a part of every time I do a project, whether I'm consuming something or creating something. So that's what spoke to me the most.
And you've been involved in other genre films before where like the terror was a little bit more subtle, and this is full-blown craziness.
Yes.
Did that kind of open up your mind, and now you're going to be looking for more experiences like this, or will it all kind of depend on the character and the project?
Yeah, I think it would just all depend on the character, the project, the creatives behind it. But I am open to doing more genre films that have a message, or just, again, any projects that have a message and that are impactful and that have the right people behind them, then I'm all in.
With this film, it was, so intimate, and you were off in Australia shooting it. How does something so intimate and intense on this project compare to something huge, a blockbuster like, Suicide Squad or something like that? How do those experiences compare?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just, again, about the people that you work with and the environment that you guys create. And all of the films and all of the projects that I've been a part of, thankfully, have been safe spaces where I could be unapologetically myself and I can really pursue my passion, which is great. But I mean, I think, yeah, it just depends on the environment that you're in. But thankfully, this was a great environment, and we were comfortable with each other, so we weren't walking on eggshells, and we weren't too scared other than like doing the scene. So it was fun.